Two daughters, two young women, two homes that should have been safe, but are now at the center of chilling allegations of cruelty. Dowry harassment, pressure, despite appeals for help. The deaths of Twisha Sharma in Bhopal and Deepika Nagar in Greater Noida are not just isolated tragedies. They have once again forced the country to confront the brutal persistence of alleged dowry harassment hidden behind closed doors. 33-year-old Twisha Sharma had dreams, ambition and a future ahead of her. An MBA graduate and former Miss Pune contestant, she had been married for barely 5 months when she was found dead at her marital home in Bhopal. But what has shaken many is the trail of emotional distress she allegedly left behind. Her family claims Twisha was subjected to relentless mental harassment over dowry demands by her husband and in-laws. They further allege she was pressured to terminate her pregnancy against her wishes, accusations that have intensified public outrage around the case. In her final days before her death, Twisha had reportedly reached out to her mother and close friends, speaking of fear, pain and emotional trauma. Her family says they are grieving not just the loss of a daughter, but what they believe has been a systemic breakdown. The special investigation team probing the case says every allegation is being examined carefully. SIT Chief Rajneesh Kashyap has stated that Twisha post-mortem report found no evidence of drugs in her body, contradicting claims reportedly circulated earlier from the accused side. In-laws deny claims of forcing Twisha into abortion. They've said Twisha was emotionally unstable. Twisha was undergoing psychiatric treatment. In fact, the bail plea of the mother-in-law claims that Twisha was into substance abuse. What has also emerged are some very worrying, distressed messages from Twisha to her mother, to her family, where she repeatedly said, "My life is becoming hell. All drama again after calling me back to Bhopal. Please come to pick me up. I don't think Samarth wants me anymore. I don't know what to do, mummy. Samarth is accusing me of having an illegitimate child. How am I supposed to ignore this? I will go mad here, mummy." Let's listen into what the parents are now saying.
रात को 10:05 में मेरे पास फोन आया है। रो रही थी, मम्मी आप आ जाओ, मैं बहुत परेशान हूँ। पीछे से समर सिंह की आवाज़ आई है जोर से, मेरा फ़ोन कट हो गया। मैं फ़ोन कर रही हूँ बार बार। समर को भी मैंने फ़ोन किया, किसी ने भी फ़ोन नहीं उठाया। उसकी माँ को फ़ोन किया है मैंने, गिरी वाला को फ़ोन किया है, वो भी नहीं उठाया। फिर दूसरी बार उन्होंने फ़ोन उठाया, फिर दूसरी बार फ़ोन उठा के बस मेरे को इतना सुनाई आया कि आपस में क्या बात हो रही थी, पल्स है। फिर एकदम फ़ोन कट गया। फिर थोड़ी देर बार मैं पल्स है, इसका मतलब मेरी बेटी कुछ हुआ है। मेरी एकदम चीख निकल गई, वहाँ से फ़ोन कट गया। मैंने अपने हस्बैंड को बताया, जल्दी चलो कुछ हुआ है वहाँ पे। तो फिर थोड़ी देर फ़ोन किया मेरी बहू ने, क्या हुआ, क्योंकि मेरे से तो बात नहीं हो रही थी, मैं रोने में लग रही थी। तो मेरी बहू ने फ़ोन उठाया तो बोली डॉक्टर ने बोला है सी इज़ नो मोर। कोई घबराहट नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं, हाँ सी इज़ नो मोर, बस कुछ नहीं। फिर कुछ नहीं हुआ, सी इज़ नो मोर बोल दिया, वो तो चली गई।
And while that investigation continues in Madhya Pradesh, another family in Greater Noida is mourning under strikingly similar circumstances. Deepika Nagar died after allegedly falling from the roof of her home. Her family alleges years of physical and mental abuse linked to dowry demands. According to complaint, Deepika's husband and in-laws allegedly demanded cash and a luxury SUV after marriage. Her father has also alleged that she was assaulted shortly before her death. Police have since arrested Deepika's husband and father-in-law, and the investigation is underway. In fact, the family, Deepika's parents, have actually claimed that the demand was for a Fortuner and 51 lakh rupees. What they could give her was a Scorpio. These are two separate cases, but the questions they raise are painfully familiar. the red flags that were ignored, the cries for help that were left unanswered, families that tried to mend, to make things happen, to reason with their daughters, deaths that are now entangled in allegations of death by suicide, dowry harassment, families that are completely destroyed, two young lives that have been snuffed out. I'm being joined at this point by Rekha Agarwal, who's an advocate with the Supreme Court and social activist. I'm also being joined by Barkhat Rehan, who's an equal rights activist, Dr. Charu Wali Khanna, who's an advocate and former member for NCW, as well as Nirmal Kaur, who's a former DGP Jharkhand, and Brinda Adike, who's a social activist. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining me. Well, first to you at this point, Rekha Agarwal, two cases, shocking similarities, shocking red flags that seem to have been ignored.
At the moment, I'm totally numb just listening to whatever you've been saying right now, before the show started. And way back in 1983, the criminal law, the Indian Penal Code was amended. Because even in 1983, in the early 80s, there was, there was a spate of dowry deaths which were occurring. And the government had to ultimately take note of the fact that, yes, dowry deaths were a reality. And that is why Section 498A was included in the Indian Penal Code. That was 1983, and today we are in 2026. We are still debating and still discussing the same issue. When is this going to stop? As a lawyer, the first thing I would say that we should not have a trial by media. And as a lawyer, even I am conscious of the fact that yes, the accused also has the right of getting a fair opportunity to be heard, and the rule of natural justice should prevail, and we should not get swayed by emotions. Though we should not be prejudiced, at the same time, we cannot trivialize the issue also, that it's a stark reality that two girls, very soon after their marriage, have died in unnatural circumstances, whether it was suicide, whether it was abetment to suicide, whether it was plain murder. All these things will come out during the trial. But having said that, it is extremely painful as a lawyer and as a human being to still discuss about a reality of life, a social reality, and which again proves the fact that education and social status is not going to change the patriarchal mindset, which is there particularly in the husband's side, that the expectation of dowry, earlier it was straight away cash, cash in envelopes and big cars. But now it is coming in many other manners also. There are subtle ways of expecting dowry from the girl's side, whether it is in way of, improving the social status of the husband by buying some property, expectations of a salary, expectations of a big car. It may not be outright cash per se, but yes, it is a stark reality. And of course, it is very painful that two young girls have died in this manner. Time will tell, who's actually, whether the accused are actually guilty or not. But at the moment, whatever I've been reading about in the social media, various news reports, there were various ante-mortem injuries on the body of Trisha, and which, again, the presumption of unnatural death is there because the death has taken place within 7 years of the marriage. In fact, not even 1 year, just 5 months. And in the case of the other girl, Deepika, it is just after 1.5 years. So both cases fall strongly under the presumption theory, which is there under the Indian Evidence Act and under the BNS. So I think that this needs to be investigated. Only time will tell. But it is high time that the social expectations of society change where girls are concerned in their marriages.
Absolutely. In fact, Dr. Charu Wali Khanna, if I can get you in at this point, and I want to go through these messages of this young girl to her mother, messages like, why did you send me to Bhopal? The old drama has started all over again. Please come to pick me up. I don't think Samarth wants me anymore. I do not know what to do, mummy.
See, to take off what Rekha said, firstly, I want to say that my heart, I feel it's being shredded into pieces. I have no words for the kind of sorrow and revulsion I'm feeling. And I feel her parents, both the cases, especially the girl, Deepika, her parents are more responsible. I have repeatedly said it's a little harsh thing that once a girl's parents, they are arrested automatically this whole problem of dowry and show and all will end. Regarding the second girl, you've said about the patriarchal thinking. Now, this girl's messages to her mother are seeking help. Why did you send me to Bhopal? So let's try and just analyze that. There's a 33-year-old girl. So what do parents always tell her? Shadi karo, shadi honi chahiye. And you're willing to pay any price, even the price of your daughter, send her anywhere, to any family, as long as it's in the caste and she's married, because the boy is an advocate and the son of a judge. I mean, if judges are indulging in this kind of crime, I think it's so
You
unfortunate.
know,
a system
Dr.
of course.
Charu, let me just come in at this point, and I think it's very important what Advocate Rekha as well said, and I very firmly believe I definitely am not a propagator of media by trial. So while there are two sides, the accused we do not know at this point, they are accused, a court has to indict them, a court has to find that they have been convicted of this case. But you know, the truth here is, Ms. Dr. Charu, and we don't even want to, you know, it's such a distressing time for the girl's family at this point to have lost their daughters. We just don't know. Words cannot comprehend what they would be going through. But I think it's just so important to have this conversation, and something that you have also started off. You know, that's the reason why I asked about these messages as well. There are red flags.
Absolutely. I
There
want to
are
interrupt you.
red flags repeatedly that is being sent to the families.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in both the cases, what's happened? They have tried to reason it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, in the case of the girl who's just married for 5 months, I think the one in Noida, her fathers, they didn't want to file a police complaint. The father said, let's resolve it. He went to the girl's in-laws matrimonial house to resolve the issue. Your daughter's life is at stake. She's been tortured, she's been brutally beaten, and you're saying resolve it because those people were asking for 50 lakhs. So you're trying to arrange marriages in India. I'm sorry, many people may not like it. Are just commercial transactions.
I don't know, you know, Dr. Charu.
I have very strong views on this. Sorry.
I understand, and I'm glad you are speaking about these things because these are conversations that we need to have. From the perspective that I come in, I do not think it's about arranged marriage or love marriage. This could happen really in any marriage. It
any
really
commercial
could happen in any
transaction.
marriage. You know, and it does happen in both the sets of marriages. It's not necessary that the families may really get along post a love marriage as well. Demands may really incur, husbands may twiddle, the wives may move ships, boats, whatsoever. So it does happen in both sides. I get where you're coming from. But an important point that you mentioned, Dr. Charwin, I'll just come back to you. Let me just go at this point to Nirmal Kaur. Nirmal Kaur, Dr. Charu mentioned this, and this is the truth of both the cases. The families did not move the police. They did not file a police complaint. This is not new. It happens time and again, case after case.
That happens all the time in India because we teach our girls, you have to adjust, you have to adjust, you have to adjust. There's so much of social pressure that if a girl comes back even with a serious thing like that, she was beaten up or they are telling her all kinds of dirty things, that you have an affair with someone else, you're carrying on with 10 people, any dirty thing they say, anything, any mudslinging, even if the girl comes back with such things which are being, perpetrated on her, the parents' response is always, let us talk it out, let us adjust, you have to adjust, you have to somehow adjust. That's what the parents keep telling, no matter how dire the situation is. So see, in both these cases, the only exit was for the girls to die. That was the only exit route left to them. The parents did not intervene on her behalf. The social system doesn't support. In the Madhya Pradesh Bhopal girl, their mother-in-law herself is she's an esteemed member of the judiciary. She got a bail also quickly, very, very quickly, very conveniently. You don't get a bail so easily. I think she's not even cold and she's got a bail. I don't know how that has happened. That is really butchery of the investigation. Bails are not granted in such a hurry. Maybe it was her position as a member of the esteemed judiciary that helped her get it. And the father-in-law is a criminal advocate. Husband is a criminal advocate.
Husband is on the run. Husband is
on.
on the run and the police have gone ahead to suspend the passport.
But what about the father-in-law? What
No,
about the
I'm
mother-in-law?
just letting you know a fact. I mean, you know,
safe.
here's a lawyer. Here's an advocate who's supposed to be responsible for the criminal system, fighting for rights and justice,
No,
and
these
he's on the
people
run.
in the lawyers and the judiciary are the worst people when it comes to criminal cases. You can never indict them. You can never charge sheet them. They will have all kinds of excuses. They'll have anticipatory bails and they'll have bails because their connections are so strong, and the community and their own this thing, the inside feeling protects them. See, I mean, so quickly, who gets a bail in such a case?
You know, Nirmal Kaur, I think you are a former DGP. I have no doubts that you are speaking with utmost responsibility and you understand what you are speaking. It's again just the very fact that you are speaking what you are speaking out of knowing completely what, just the extent of what you are speaking, and that also raises a lot of questions and big concerns. Very quickly at this point, Brinda Adige, how do you look at this? The nation is mourning. It's literally shocked by what's really unfolding at this point. How do you look at this?
I look at it as a system that has been supporting criminals in the name of tradition, customs, and of course, patriarchy galore. Because we know that time and again, the judiciary that is supposed to interpret the law in the most widest sense to support human rights, women's rights, constitutional guarantees, has constantly shortchanged women and their families who brought the case to court. First and foremost, there is a huge taboo that you don't talk about all of these things. You just grin and bear and go on with it. So somebody asked, why were a case, you asked, why wasn't a case filed? 5 months down the line of the marriage, 1 year, 3 years, nobody's going to go and file a case. They're going to compromise and counsel and compromise. They constantly tell the girl, the woman, why don't you adjust a little bit? We are a nation of adjustments and we use different offices and structures. But I think we need to place on record that every structure is compromised in our country to patriarchy, to sexism, and misogyny. I go to the police, I would make a complaint or probably a call. Look at any helpline number. I'm being harassed by my in-laws. Where is your house? How many people are there? When you say in-laws, who are the in-laws? 10 minutes down the line, she's dead. Is this the way a helpline from the police responds? Let's assume the police comes. Come with your family tomorrow to register the FIR. Once you go to the police station, FIR doesn't get registered. No, they are sitting with some 2017, 2018. There was one order passed by the Supreme Court saying that the committee will look whether there is a requirement to file FIR. That so many other orders have been passed nullifying that, nobody knows. So they continuously use and abuse information. And today we want to ask, when you are talking about Beti Bachao, are you telling that Beti have to be bachao from the institutions, the politicians who make these laws, and here a judge, an ex-judge who's got a bail so quickly? Why are you scared? Why is a judge scared to put them behind bars and let the law take its due course? You will get bail in 3 months' time. It's your right. Stay inside for 3 months.
Barkhat Rehan, I mean, stay inside for 3 months is possibly something that, Brinda Adige, at the end of the day, it's a legal system. I don't want to get into the legal system of what the legal process is. There are very strict legal laws of what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. Yeah. Bail is also a right for a person, whether it be a judge or anybody. How much of how expedited this was, you have the former DGP of Jharkhand who has said that this was expedited, but that this is part of the legal process. It can be challenged legally as well. So that's obviously subjective. It's part of a subjective debate. Barkhat Rehan, how do you really look at this?
First of all, I'd like to start with, please don't drag Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao in everything. That is a very good initiative. And let's, for God's sake, don't bring this everywhere. Give some logical, whatever you want, logics here. You've been invited in a debate to give logical answers.
No, madam, you do not have to
now let me complete.
No. Barkhat Rehan, I think Barkhat Rehan, let me just come in at this point. You sure can make your logical points, but I don't think calling out somebody's logical point as illogical is really your right at this point. She
No, I
has a
don't
problem
want-
with that
See,
statement. No,
this-
she does have a problem
over
with
the
that statement,
country-
and she
over
has
the
said
country,
she has
Beti
the right.
Bachao, Beti
She
Padhao
has the
has been a
right
very
to
good
say what she
initiative.
does.
So
And I
please,
don't think you
let's
really
not
can call off. You can
criticize this
challenge
initiative
that.
at least.
You
Do
can
give your
challenge that.
opinion.
You can
Don't
challenge
come
that.
and judge
Sure.
my opinion over here.
No, it's your opinion. You're welcome to put your opinion, Barkhat Rehan. There's nobody stopping you from putting your opinion. For sure, put
Yeah,
your
so
opinion. But you can't
I
call her out
simply
for having her opinion as illogical. But sure, go ahead.
It's okay. A tragedy is a tragedy, whether it is Trisha in Bhopal or Deepika is in Noida. A young life lost is heartbreaking for me. If there is evidence of physical abuse or guilt, anything, any abuse, the guilty must face the strictest punishment. Let me be very clear. Crime has no gender, firstly. However, we cannot let emotion replace investigation. See, whenever women are on the panel, they get very emotional. But I believe in the court and I believe in the evidences. No media trials, because at many times they are very dangerous. And if we declare both the husbands a criminal on day one, based on headlines, we destroy families before the truth comes out. It's a part of investigation. It is too early to jump to conclusions. Now I come to the double standards. Why does the national conscience only wake up when a woman dies of suicide? Recently, Aman Sharma, judge in Delhi court, died, and he before he died, he called his father. He told about his emotional trauma, mental trauma. He told everything to his father. Not even a single debate we did, not even a single media channel.
Barkhat Rehan, I think you're completely wrong on this point. You're completely wrong on this point. You're completely wrong on this point.
Approached me.
We did that story. We covered that. It was debated. There were channels. There were newspapers that really did that. But it's not one damage vis-a-vis the other. It's not one story vis-a-vis the other.
I don't remember TV9 calling me. I don't remember TV9 calling me.
There are others as well
And
who are
Judge
equal
Aman
rights.
Sharma,
There are
he was
others
such
as
a
well who are
powerful
equal
judge.
rights activists. And it's not just Barkhat Rehan. But sure, I get what you're saying. You're talking about the representation of debates. When it comes to the gender specifically, I understand where you are coming from. I think it's an important point that you're making. But again, before we slip into a very short break, Barkhat, there's one problem. You said crime doesn't have any gender, but you just stereotyped everybody here as a panel, and you said women speak emotionally. Here are women who are well acclaimed in their rights of achievement. You have a former DGP sitting here. You have a Supreme Court lawyer sitting here. You have an NCW member sitting here. You have a well-known activist sitting here. You can, if you believe crime doesn't have a gender, I don't think you can belittle the gender of anybody who may have a very different opinion as well. And I think I just have to put this. I don't want to digress from our topic.
Aman Sharma suicide case. Are we empathetic towards men of the country? Did we discuss this?
Why
no,
not?
we didn't.
Why not?
No, we didn't.
Why not? It's time for a very short break. I don't want to digress from what we are
tortured.
discussing.